What's up, everybody? It's your boy Stevie the Black, just Steve the Black. I'm back. Uh, Apologies that I didn't get this out yesterday, but I got home pretty late from work. Got off at 9, didn't get back till like 9:40 ish. I wouldn't say, and I was kind of tired, so I was like, I'll just do it today. Um, Today meaning my final thoughts and grade on the Eagles draft and then whether or not I think they did a good job. Um so you all know who the Eagles drafted and where the Eagles drafted. But we know this draft is only going to be defined at by one pick. A pick that happened in the second round. And I just want to give my final thoughts on that as well. No matter what the Eagles say, don't believe them. They're saying all the right things, but there's more than that to this pick, right? Like, again, you saw the look on their face when they selected Jalen Hurts in the second round. They were smiling, they were happy, they were proud of themselves. And I've seen a lot of different people theorize, and I actually kind of agree with what they're saying. And that Carson Wentz is their guy, is the Eagles franchise quarterback. But it's also no secret that when you have Carson Wentz, you got to deal. Part of the thing you have to deal with is the injuries. It goes all the way back to his college days and at in his college days where he had the broken wrist. Then his rookie year he had the broken ribs, and then 2017 he had the ACL. 2018 he had the back. 2019 that wasn't his fault. He had the concussion, but it did happen. So the Eagles' mindset is, oh yeah, sure, we can use Jalen Hurts as a Taysom Hill type player, but really what we're doing is we're developing him as a great backup. Because if anything happens to Carson Wentz in these next 3 to 4 years, well then Jalen Hurts will be ready to go. You know, so that's really he's an insurance policy. That's what he is, and I think it was a stupid move not to take him, because if you want to take him, that's fine. But it's a stupid move to take him in the second round when you could have used that second round pick to get someone else who also can immediately can help. Um, but that's just my thoughts on this thing, man. And then obviously, I'm still upset by the fact that the Cowboys got CeeDee Lamb and we didn't. Apparently, what I've also been hearing is that the Eagles were trying to trade up and switch places with the Atlanta Falcons, and they were willing to do it. But I think they had to give like a second round pick, which ultimately ended up being Jalen Hurts. And of course, the Eagles didn't want to do that. So you could have had CeeDee Lamb. You could have had CeeDee Lamb. Now maybe Jalen Reagor wouldn't have been there. Maybe you could have gotten somebody else, because this draft is full of ton of speed guys. How do I know this? Because you got a bunch of speed wide receivers. So it may not have been Jalen Reagor, but they would have been still good. You could have got KJ Hamler, I believe his name was, from Penn State. He's good friends with Miles Sanders. You could have got him if Reagor wasn't there. So I mean, it's gonna bother me for the next decade, because that's how long we're gonna have to deal with CeeDee Lamb. But again, frustrating. Other things, the Eagles also acquired Marquise Goodwin, and I'm seeing a lot of mixed reactions on this because he's another speed guy, but he's also inconsistent. And I would really like to compare him to Torrey Smith, right? Torrey Smith is another guy who really has the speed, but he really isn't all that impressive. He doesn't have the production. He has the potential to be that production, but he just never lives up to it. Now, that's also because of injuries, and because I know he was dealing with a couple of things in his life, personal life. I think death and the family are close to it. So that obviously that affects a person, and if you can't feel sympathy for him for that and understand why his production slips off, so everybody can't be Brett Favre. I mean, I don't remember, but I heard the stories of when Brett Favre's father passed away. He had that amazing Monday night game. Everybody can't be Brett Favre, you know. So people deal with situations like that in very different ways, man, and we can't fault them for that, you know. But I like to think of Marquise Goodwin as a Torrey Smith. Even if he doesn't have the production, he keeps the field honest and open for Zach Ertz in the middle field. And then you still got Deshaun Jackson, who you obviously can't rely on him to be healthy, but then again, you also can't rely on Marquise Goodwin to be healthy. But they both can't be out at the same time, can they? But then again, that happened last year with Alshon, Nelson Aguilar, and Djax. So I guess anything's possible. But I do like the pick. They even restructured this deal, so it's like a $1.85 million deal. It's a 1-year contract, so I like it. I'm really, my friend Addy, he pointed out to me all the speed and stuff they had. I'm like, whoa, they're really trying to beat Kansas City, you know? And not necessarily, that's not saying that's a bad thing, because Carson Wentz has Patrick Mahomes type potential, you know? If he could stay healthy every single year, I would say he would be the second best quarterback in the league, you know? But, you know, stuff happens. If I had to say what my favorite pick is, though, it would have to be the safety from Clemson. I really like this kid. That kid is hype. He's ready to go. He's been on Twitter ever since he got drafted, talking about how he's ready to bring championship pedigree back to the city of Philadelphia, man. And you know what? Not only his attitude and his swagger and his production on the field, which is great, but also I think the reason why the Eagles drafted him is because he's friends with Brian Dawkins' son and his whole family. And if Brian Dawkins put in a good word, hey, yo, y'all really need to draft this kid. He's great. I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason why they drafted him. You know, he may not be a Brian Dawkins player, but hey, if Brian Dawkins gives him the A-OK, you're going to listen and you're going to draft him. So I really like this kid. He's going to be great. I love it. He's a versatility guy. He's not just a safety. He can play corner. He can play anything you need him to play, and I love it. I love it. Then obviously the Eagles sorry, I'm stuttering. The Eagles took two offensive linemen, both from Auburn. Both of them sound pretty good. Because, you know, without Big V now, we need a couple swing tackles, and I think both of them have great potential. Matter of fact, everybody in this draft has great potential, and I think a lot of them really will break out, you know, year 2. You know, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, of course, you know, in the later rounds 4 through 7, all of them is just hype and potential. Yeah, you don't know. Well, that's the same, really, technically, that's the same thing for the whole draft. I mean, yeah, the more talented guys you want to say are in the first 3 rounds, but rounds 4 through 5 it's not like it's impossible. I mean, you got Tom Brady, you got your Shannon Sharps, you got your Antonio Browns. So as long as they have the drive and the will to want to get better and want to be better and want to be one of the best there is ever to play the game, then you've got a great team. And I think the Eagles got a lot of great guys. Obviously, all of them won't be on the team, but I expect the majority of them to be on the practice squad and ready when we need them to go, because I like a lot of the people that they drafted, and I'm really excited to see them to get to work and get and wear that Eagles uniform and do me proud in that midnight green. So if I were to give a final grade on the draft, I would say I'm on the very, very thin line of C plus, B minus. And the reason why it's not a solid B is because that Jalen Hurts pick really brings it down. And that's what people are going to remember most out of this. See, Jalen Hurts cost this team CeeDee Lamb. That's the bottom line. He cost him CeeDee Lamb, because if they didn't want to get him, if he wasn't still there and available, if Bill Belichick had just taken him, or somebody else would have just taken him, because, you know, teams need a quarterback, then the Eagles would have gladly probably traded that second round pick. We would have got CeeDee Lamb. We still would have had a possibility to get Jalen Reagor, and then I would have been super happy this draft would have got an A. But unfortunately, that's not the case, and it will be defined by this. The Eagles' insurance policy, whether they want to admit it or not, is Jalen Hurts. So, like I said, I give it fringe, very thin line of C plus B minus for this draft. I thought they had a really great day three, horrible day two, and an okay day one. Um, like I said, I think a lot of people are really underestimating Jalen Rager because he had a bad quarterback at his school at TCU. So, you know, he's working with Carson Wentz, and that is that's the best quarterback he's ever going to play with. So, I expect a lot of big things. And like I said, if he's supposed to be a Deshaun, and he can learn from Deshaun Jackson, he can learn from Marquise Goodwin, both guys who are speed guys, and veterans. So I'm really looking forward to this. So now a lot of you are probably wondering, well, what about Alshon Jeffrey, right? What about JJ Arcega-Whiteside? Well, JJ, he's still got a lot to prove. He's got to earn his spot on this team. I'm not giving it to him. I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt. You could say, oh, you take it easy on him. He's just a rookie. But look at all the rookies who came in last year and had immediate impact. Don't tell me to calm down, okay? Because I'm not going to calm down. Because the Eagles, once again, botched it like they did with Donnell Pumphrey the draft a couple years ago. Had all these great running backs. And you draft Donnell Pumphrey. All these great wide receivers that came out last year made immediate impact, and you draft JJ Arcega-Whiteside. He's got to earn his spot. That's all I got to say about that. And as for Alshon Jeffrey, we know he's not going to be healthy by the time the season starts up. We expect him probably October, November, if they haven't found a way to trade him by that point. And if he's still on the team, then I suggest you use him in the red zone. I think his big body frame, his 50-50 ball catch radius will be obviously massive help in the red zone. So he'll be a good fit right there. So if you can't get rid of him, you can still use him in very productive ways. Last but not least, so where does that leave the Eagles left in free agency? Well, the Eagles still need a running back. Because as great as Miles Sanders is going to be, and as good as Boston Scott was at the end of the year, we know we still need a power runner. We still need a guy to lift the load when we need to get those big dirty yards or to drain the clock in the fourth quarter, right? So who possibly could help us? Who's left in free agency? And I looked at the list, and there's only one possible solution I think the Eagles should go, and that's bring in Devonta Freeman. Devonta Freeman, I think, will be a great fit in here for to get 30 yards. I wish we still had Jordan Howard, but unfortunately that's not the case because we lost him to the Dolphins. So I think Devonta Freeman would do great. I really wanted Melvin Gordon, but we would have had to pay him, and unfortunately Howie wasn't going to do that. So Devonta Freeman is the best available running back left. He won't have to do much, obviously, because it's a running back by committee, and Miles Sanders is the guy. So, I think he's the best running back left in free agency. I think we should pick him up and get him, because why not, right? I understand he had a down year last year, but like I said, we're in a good running back by committee, and I think he can really benefit from that. So, because I know last couple years he's been getting injured, being in a running back by committee, he won't have to be relied on as much, So, I still think they need to get a cornerback, at least to push Sidney Jones and Maddox, because I don't want either one of them just getting the job. I want somebody, whoever's going to be on the opposite side of Darius Slay, I want them to have earned that spot, right? I just don't want it handed it to them. So if it's going to be Sidney Jones, it's going to be because he earned it. I know he's like doing some kind of special training with some kind of special guy. I can't remember who off the top of my head right now. But that doesn't matter to me. That's great that you're doing that. But at the end of the day, you still got to earn that spot. This is his last chance, bro. It's legit. This is his last chance. And obviously Maddox. I like Maddox, but he's undersized. So again, don't really want him there unless he earns it, But... And then last, but certainly not least, we know that a certain player is still available on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I am talking about Yannick Ngakoue. I still think the Eagles need to find a way to get this man because he is 25 years old. He's a beast. He's got close to double-digit sacks every single year. And if you get this man and you add him on this defensive line, which is already, I believe, underestimated, I'm telling you, they will have the Eagles will have the top 2 defensive line in the NFL, right up there with San Francisco. Don't at me. Don't be jealous. It's the facts. It's true. Fletcher Cox, not Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, Hardgrave. You still got Malik Jackson. You still got Avery, and you add Ngakoue. I'm telling you, man, it'll be something special, that D line. And then that wouldn't even matter about the Cowboys drafting the CeeDee Lamb because Dak Prescott won't have time to get the ball to CeeDee Lamb, and it won't matter who's in the backfield because this defensive line will eat, and the quarterback won't have time because somebody's gonna be in his face. Now you're saying, well, wait a minute, we have so much money tied up in the defensive line already. You got to get rid of somebody. Who you getting rid of? I once again put the proposal out there that you go to the Jaguars, you give them 2021 first round pick, you give them Brandon Graham, and you give them Rasul Douglas. If you can trade Alshon Jeffrey in there, you take Alshon Jeffrey too. So that's look, Howie talked about all offseason about getting younger, and I know what Brandon Graham means to this team. I know what he did for us in the Super Bowl, but he is also 32 years old, and while he had a good year last year, if you're serious about getting younger, getting better, there's nobody better than Ngakoue. Now, you can make a case maybe for Jadeveon Clowney, but he'd have to bring that price all the way down. Whereas, and he's like close to his 30s, if not already in his 30s. Whereas Ngakoue is 25. You got a good 5-7 year window with this man before you even have to think about addressing the defensive line again, besides maybe when it's time to replace Fletcher Cox. But even then, I'm telling you, bro. So with this defense being elite, that will give time for the offense and the young guys to grow and get better. So maybe you can say even by next year or the year after, this team will once again be ready to compete for another Super Bowl. And I'm all for that. If the Eagles can get this done, I will consider this offseason a success. I'd give it like a B+, A-. Like, that's how good Ngakoue is. The final piece. Him and Devontae Freeman. Those two guys are the final piece. I think they're going to get Devontae Freeman because he's the only logical choice left. But to get Ngakoue, man, do what you got to do. Trade Brandon Graham. Do it. I'm telling you, it is worth it. But that is my final thoughts on the draft. I thought, again, the Jalen Hurts thing really brought the team grade down. But overall, I think they did a pretty solid job. And just some other thoughts on free agency that I came up with. So let me know what you guys thought about the draft. Let me know in the comment section down below. And let me know some other moves you think the Eagles should make in the offseason. Because how we said, they're always looking and they're not done making moves. So please, I'm praying to God, go get this man from Jacksonville. And we will be a beast once again. Jibs, we will never, ever, ever have to complain about the defense ever again. Do you know how wonderful that will be? And with all the speed on offense, shoot, we're looking at 4 straight years in the playoffs, possibly being the NFC East champ repeats. So, again, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And if you're not down with that, I've just got 3 words for you. Fly, Eagles, fly. I'll talk to you later. Peace.